Okay, first up we're going to look at the 40-100 series, which is sealers, reducers and cleaners. And what I'm doing here is I'm taking my base coat sealer white and I'm actually tinting it about 10 or 15% with semi-opaque flame orange. The base coat sealers, like the entire AutoWear line, are completely tintable. The reason why I'm tinting this is if I were going in with a particularly transparent orange, for instance Sparklescent Mango, rather than paint 6 or 7 coats over white, it's better to actually tint my base coat sealer, and I can drastically cut down on the amount of paint I need. I'm just coming in here with my second coat, and you see I've got quite a pastely orange. That's a perfect ground coat for a transparent orange. This will save you a lot of paint in the long run. Remember guys that the sealer, like the entire AutoWear line, is completely sandable. Make sure it's completely cured, and I'm using 600 dry sandpaper. It's wet and dry, but obviously I'm using it dry. And I'm just removing any little bits of dirt here with my tack rag. And what's important when you're doing this is to put a drop coat over, especially if you're using a metallic or an iridescent or a pearl, just putting that last coat down. The next up is transparent base. Now, I have 100 uses for transparent base, but here's one of the most obvious ones. What I'm doing is I'm just putting it over the top of my artwork prior to masking or even clear coating. I'm using it here kind of like an intercoat clear. It's very, very important to put it on light. If I put it on too wet, it's going to go milky, quite pastely, and I could lose adhesion. I'm just putting on 1 or 2 super light coats. And you can see it puts like a sheen over my artwork. Now in this case I'm just going to clear straight over this, but if I wanted to do some heavy masking, I would always put a little bit of transparent base over there to seal that artwork in. Next up, I've got a alloy panel and I've taken the grinder to it. We're going to put some candies over this later on in the film and let you see what we're doing with the candies here. But in the meantime, I'm using the transparent base just to act as a go-between between the bare alloy and the candy. And again guys, very, very light coats. 1 or 2 just drop coats, and that's going to act as a go-between before I lay down my candies. Another use for the transparent base is it's a perfect carrier for flakes or pearls or dry powders. Here I'm just using some flake, putting it straight in. I know the transparent base looks like milk, it looks opaque, it looks white, but in actual fact it is completely transparent once it's sprayed. Just putting some flake in, give it a really, really good stir, obviously get it completely mixed up. And I'm just pouring it into a DeVilbiss FLG gun. This is a 1.8 setup. Massive needle and nozzle setup here. This thing's a bit of a hose pipe, but man, it's completely awesome for laying down flakes. And what I'm doing here is I'm simply using the transparent base as a carrier for my flake. We have companies who don't even use the AutoWear, but they'll still use our transparent base as a carrier for their flakes or dry pearls. Okay, next up is Airbrush Cleaner. No prizes for guessing what this is for. If I'm between classes or I'm traveling a lot, I tend just to leave my guns or my airbrushes soaking in it indefinitely. I also use it with my bottom feed airbrush. I favour a bottom feed airbrush over a gravity feed because it's much, much faster. And what I'm doing is I'm just changing colours here, and I'm just hooking up the AutoWear a bottle adapter. Just 5 seconds of Airbrush Cleaner straight through my gun. And within about 8, 9, 10 seconds I've got a complete colour switch. I also use the Airbrush Cleaner for just general cleaning. It's fantastic if you're getting overspray off your equipment between classes or between jobs. Next up we've got Gun Restorer, and it's a little bit more aggressive. I tend to keep things soaking in there like spray guns or fluid nozzles. If the paint's completely dried and clogged up, just leave it in here for a couple of hours, even overnight, and you can just see it completely removes all the crud and all the filament, and it can be reusable.